And welcome back to Chicago Bulls Insider. We're talking about another NBA draft prospect, and we are looking at a guard. And so we're going to be looking at if this is a good fit for the Chicago Bulls and if they should explore this in this upcoming NBA draft. And so before we go ahead and jump into it, I first want to remind you to slam dunk on that subscribe button, just like Modest Buzelis slam dunks in games. And so in exchange for slamming on that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Chicago Bulls. So make sure that you hit that subscribe, you hit that like button, and you join the Chicago Bulls Insider family as we talk nothing but Chicago Bulls basketball. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the content today. And so we are looking at Egor Demin out of BYU here. And so he is 6'9", with a 6'10" wingspan. So found that out here with the NBA draft combine going on. He's officially listed at 199. He is 19 years old and he has an 8 and 9.5 standing reach. And so lets you know the type of length that you are getting with Egor Demin here. And so look, he is listed as the best passer in this particular draft, and he is a point guard. So let me go ahead and get that out the way. And so let's go ahead and jump into the numbers and just talk about why, a team would be intrigued here and why the Chicago Bulls would definitely maybe be interested here, depending on what they're going to do this offseason. And so let's go ahead and look at the numbers here. And so you can see that he played 1 year here with BYU, and it's not anything that really jumps off the page at you, but 10.6 points per game, 3.9 rebounds, 1.2 steals, 5.5 assists, 0.4 with the blocks. This is where it gets a bit scary for you. 27.3 from three and then 41.2 from the field. He shot 69.5 from the free throw line. And so with that being said, you look at the numbers. It's not anything that really, kind of jumps off the page at you. But if you go and you look at the highlights, you will see a player that, for one, is just a terrific passer, because this guy can make any pass that you can think of, and his passes are on the money. They generally hit his players in stride, in motion, perfect type of just velocity on the passes. And so this guy can definitely get you the basketball into your scoring position. And so he's a true field general out there if you're looking for a point guard that can just kind of open up the game that way. Next with him, the next thing that he has is just a real feel for the game. And so I think that if you look at his highlights, you will see a player that just knows just time and score and understanding of the game. He definitely plays with a bit of a mature feel to him. So he has a very good feel to the game, really goes into that floor general, being the coach on the floor. And so definitely you need that type of player if you're, looking for a point guard that you need to just settle the offense. You need to get into the right half court set. Or if you're in the middle of a fast break, you can trust that he's going to come down with the right tempo, the right pace, and allow for, shooters to get to their places, or cutters, or, just the lob threat, whoever. He knows just a good understanding and feeling for the tempo of the game. And so that's next with him. And so the next thing with him, as far as the upside, is the size. And so I just talked about the fact that he has a 6'10" wingspan. He's coming in at 6'9". He's 19 years old. So I would think that maybe he could even grow some more. And so the length is certainly there. And I think he was 6'8", and that was barefoot. And so that just lets you know just the type of length that you are getting with Egor. And so next up with him, the next thing about him is just that, on defense, he uses that length to be, I think, a solid off-ball defender. And so I don't think he's necessarily going to be the best on-ball defender, which we'll talk about that in a moment. But I think with his length and understanding of the game, his basketball IQ also shows on defense, and he competes with effort. So he gives you effort. He uses his length on defense. And I think that he could be a guy that is going to be an okay team defender. Not necessarily sure he can be an on-ball defender that's going to be that good. Now, that's something that I think he's going to have to grow into. And really, I think that that's where teams would probably be, banking on his upside. Now, when you look at the negatives with him, the first thing is that just the quickness is not there. He's not a guy that gets a ton of separation. And it looks like that he also tries to fade away from contact. And so doesn't have a whole bunch of athleticism. Like it's very how can I say it? Like almost stiff when you see him kind of get to his, points on the floor and things like that. It just doesn't look too fluid. And so I think that that's one thing with him, just not very fluid, not very quick and decisive, I think, with his moves, and he shies away from contact. Now, next with him is he's definitely going to have to get stronger. But I've said that before around a lot of NBA draft prospects. I think that each and every prospect, even if you're ready to come into the league, you still need to get stronger to go against NBA competition. And so with him, he definitely needs to get stronger. I think that that's going to translate on the offensive end, because then he probably feels a little bit more comfortable as far as hunting down contact right now, getting downhill. I don't think that you're going to see a player on his highlights that just really wanted to get to the contact. He wants to fade away from the contact. And I think that that comes into just strength and balance and being able to finish there. And so next with him, I think that another thing that you just wonder about is just going to be just his fit in the offense right now. And so he's a player that is going to need to have the ball in his hands, because if you go back and look at a lot of the things that he did in college, it was really off the pick and roll. And so he's a very solid pick and roll player. Like I said before, the passing is there, but he needs to have the ball in his hand a lot. And so, just coming in, you're not very fast, you're not very strong like that. I don't think that he's necessarily going to come in and just command the point guard position like that. And so that's another thing to kind of look at. Next here, I think what you're getting with him is just a real raw project on offense. I'm not sure how he's going to translate, because 27.3%, want to go back to that percentage, that is not great coming into the league. And then you think about the fact that if he were to come to the Chicago Bulls, and a big if, and I'm going to talk about that in the guard situation that the Bulls have, he would have to be able to knock down the three ball. And we don't have Peter Patton there to help him as well. And so I don't know how long you're willing to kind of hang in with that project and see if he can figure it out, because his shot mechanics don't look bad like that, but he's just not hitting at the rate that you would want at 27.3, and then also to the 41.2% from the field. That would have to get much better for him to have the basketball in his hands as much as he does. And also too, with the free throw percentage, that is another thing that would have to come up, because that if teams know that you want to get downhill and you want to get to the rim and things like that, then you're going to have to knock down the free throws. And so I think that that is another thing here with Egor. He's going to have to be able to finish that way. And so next with him, when you look at just the other things, and as far as being raw, like I think that defensively, talking about his on-ball defense, I think that when he gets to the next level, he's going to be challenged there, because, if they get him into some ISO situations, and he's not that fast, doesn't have that quickness, he's not strong like that, he could really struggle defensively. And so I'm not sure how long you would want to hang in there with him also being a little bit of a project on the defense. Like I said before, I think he's going to be a good team defender, a solid one, but it's going to be tough for him on an individual standpoint. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because one of the comparisons that I see is Josh Giddey. All right. And so Josh Giddey is a comparison here. And I'm saying, I don't think that the Bulls would want to get Egor Demin. I don't think that this makes a lot of sense. And I know that there's a lot of mock drafts that have the Chicago Bulls taking him. And I think the Chicago Bulls are going to bring back Josh Giddey. I think that that would be wise to do so. And I just think that in comparison, if they were exactly the same player, me personally, I would go with Josh Giddey, because Josh Giddey is closer to getting to the next level as a player. Like, I think he's really close, and we just want to see how he starts off this next season. And I'm personally betting on Josh Giddey. I think that him and Coby White really figured it out down the stretch. And I think that, like he said at the end of his press conference, that he was really getting his confidence. He was really not wanting to step on too many people's toes. And then also, too, just the circumstances that he had coming to the Chicago Bulls. And so I think that he did a terrific job. They've really cleared the path for him and Coby. So I think he's going to take off this next season. And so I would not be willing to let go of Josh Giddey. I would want to continue to build with this backcourt and go with it, because I think that really you are taking a huge chance with Egor Demin in this draft if you were to go with him. And so I just think based off that comparison, because I do see that with the brilliance and the passing and just the real feel for the game, but I just think that you have more of an offensive polished player in Josh Giddey who is getting it and getting to the next level now. So no, I would not want to take or want the Bulls to take him, but we'll see what happens. Another, comparison that they gave him was a Sean Livingston. I'm not sure that I necessarily see that because Sean Livingston was just the athleticism was terrific. And even after the knee injury, I think Sean Livingston was just brilliant for the Golden State Warriors once he figured it out and came back from that. And so not sure that I necessarily see that. Another comparison that they gave him was a Cal Anderson. They gave him a Denny Avia as well. And so not necessarily sure on those comparisons, but I will just say that just from the metrics and things like that, you're intrigued. But I just think that for me, for as good as a passer that he is, I think that he's going to be really a serious project at the next level. And I'm not sure how that's going to translate. Don't think the Chicago Bulls should do so. But you guys let me know in the comments here. Would you want to see the Chicago Bulls draft another point guard here in Egor Demin? And then what do you think the Bulls would do there? Or would, like I said before, you want to continue to stay with Josh Giddey? Because I think that if you were to draft, Egor here out of BYU, I think that you're basically trying to reset the roster here if you were to make a move like that, which I don't think the Chicago Bulls would be wise in doing so. But anyway, you guys let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. And as we always say, go Bulls. And I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.